Senator Booker, a federal jobs guarantee or $1,000 a month. Are those the best solutions there? Please respond.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to get in finally. And I just want to say, as a great New Jerseyan Yogi Berra said, I am having deja vu all over again. We've got one shot to make Donald Trump a one-term president. And how we talk about each other in this debate actually really matters. I've had the privilege of working with or being friends with everybody on this stage, and tearing each other down because we have a different plan, to me, is unacceptable. I have seen this script before. It didn't work in 2016, and it will be disaster for us in 2020.
Senator Cory Booker calling out his fellow Democratic candidates last night for once again attacking each other rather than Donald Trump. And the presidential candidate joins us now. Cory, it's always good to see you. Your first question this morning comes from NBC's Andrea Mitchell. Andrea.
Hey, Senator, good to see you. We've just been talking about the fact that President Erdogan has said now he will not see Vice President Pence or Mike Pompeo, who are supposed to fly out today and see him tomorrow. How does America restore its sense of power and authority around the world after the kind of humiliation at the hands of dictators that we are seeing right now?
Yeah, look, we have a lot of work to do, and I'm glad on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee there is a lot of bipartisan agreement right now on the disastrous decisions that Donald Trump is making that's giving ISIS again, a strong foothold in that region, that is turning its back on the Kurds and giving really strength to everyone from Russia to Iran to the Assad regime, and allowing the Turks and Erdogan, who's been slipping towards authoritarianism on a steady pace now for many, many months. This is really a bad situation. So in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, I think you're going to see a lot of condemnation, bipartisan, full-throated condemnation of what this president is doing. But we have a lot of work to do as Americans to reassert the strength of free Western democracy against what we're seeing from Hungary to Turkey to China, which is lurching further and further towards authoritarianism.
Yeah, so Senator, I loved your moment last night. Already talked about it, where you keep reminding your Democratic candidates that are on stage with you that the battle is not an intramural battle. It is a battle for the future of America, and their focus needs to be more on Donald Trump instead of these intramural squabbles. Talk about that.
Yeah, look, and you know this, Donald Trump got less votes than Mitt Romney. We could shellac this sitting president in the 2020 elections if we stay unified and can engage and excite Democrats and, frankly, independents and moderate Republicans who all know that this is a president engaged in outrageous moral vandalism. And so for us to do things, distinguishing our differences is really valuable and important, but demeaning or degrading the character of someone on the stage, that to me is unacceptable, no matter what role I end up playing. And I hope and believe that I'll be the nominee, but no matter what role I'm playing, I'm going to be a unifying force to this party at a time that I believe you can't lead the Democratic Party unless you can actually bring about that spirit of unity, because that's not just what the Democratic Party needs, but our country needs healing and someone that can bring us as a whole together.
Senator Booker, it's Willie Geist. Good to see you as always. I want to ask you about health care, because that was one of those distinctions you're talking about that was drawn on stage. You have Medicare for all plans from Senators Warren and Sanders, and you had specifically Mayor Buttigieg drawing a line last night and saying, well, there's going to be somebody that pays for this, and it's going to be the middle class, and couldn't get Senator Warren to answer the yes-no question on that. Just want to get your clear view for our viewers and all the people watching, thinking about casting a vote, where you stand on that question of Medicare for all. Is it a dangerous idea to take private insurance away from that many Americans?
Look, I'm a former mayor, have had to run things, so I'm a fierce pragmatist. And the ideal is something I'll always fight for. We have a outrageously broken healthcare system. You want to talk about affording something? We can't afford what we have right now. It's fastly approaching 20% of our entire economy. We pay more than any other country on the planet Earth and get worse results than every industrial nation. So we should talk about what the ideal is, and I actually do believe the ideal we should be moving towards as a society is more towards a single-payer system. But you know what? We've got to talk about how we can make steps towards that ideal, and whoever the next president is, I don't care what you're saying in this presidential primary, there are going to be steps that we have to take to earn America's trust to do the kind of big things. And from everything from lowering prescription drug costs to lowering Medicare eligibility to 55, there are going to be pragmatic steps that we have to take towards getting towards our goal of driving down costs and expanding coverage to the point where in America we have everybody covered.
Do you worry, Senator, about, though, a Democratic message when it comes from Elizabeth Warren or it comes from Bernie Sanders, of voters hearing there's a shot, although it may be unlikely to pass through the Senate, as you know, there's a shot that the private insurance I enjoy could be taken from me? Is that a dangerous idea for Democrats to be putting out?
Look, I don't think putting out a larger vision for this country is ever dangerous as long as it's something that you can back up with pragmatic steps to get there. And no, we are not going to flip a switch and take away private insurance in this country. It is just not going to happen that way. I think providing steps towards our goal to bring America along with us, like providing a vibrant, viable public option, is something reasonable. And Bernie Sanders and just about, I think, every Democrat in the Democratic caucus in the Senate have been on public option bills. So I'm not going to be one of those people that ever pulls away from the dream. Heck, I'm sitting here because of courageous and bold visions that would put forth by this country. But again, as a guy who's actually had to run stuff, make stuff work, this is going to be a process that is really critical, that we can bring new American coalitions together to actually get real legislation passed that does what this nation urgently needs, which is to get out of the disastrous healthcare policies we have right now that incentivize people not to see doctors, not to do preventative care, to use emergency rooms as primary care, to drive up the cost of our health care, to do disastrous things like literally we'd have a nation, every other competitor we have is doing prenatal care. We have literally lead industrial nations in infant mortality, maternal mortality, complications at birth. We seem to do things in a backwards way when it's far more expensive, as opposed to doing the right kind of healthcare system that incentivizes the right behavior and the best outcomes and actually can dramatically drive down costs.
Good morning, Corey. It's Claire. I wanted to.
Hey, Claire, how are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I want you to know that I think women noticed last night that you said something that was really important when it came to reproductive health freedoms for women in this country, and that is good on Kamala for voicing this in the strongest possible terms, but good on you for saying it shouldn't just be the women that are talking about this issue. Talk about the erosion of this right and how you see your campaign as trying to stop that erosion that is so palpable in states like Ohio and my state, where they passed a law that there won't even be a rape or incest exception in Missouri if the Missouri legislature has its way.
Yeah, it's despicable, frankly. Now, look, I go all over this country and I meet just good folks that have very different views than I do about seeing Roe v. Wade be the law of the land. But the states that have actually had the best record for driving down unwanted pregnancies and thus abortions in this country, like Colorado, a 40% plus drop for young women in the number of abortions they're having, they've been able to accomplish this not by taking away access to reproductive care, but actually giving women more rights, giving them free contraceptions. And so we are seeing this most disastrous policy, whatever you say your outcome you want to be. This is an attack on women. This is an attack on your ability to control your body. It's an attack on common sense. And it's going to drive the very awful realities that we all, in a unified way, don't want to see. And I mean, God, when you have a state like Alabama literally saying that a doctor who is forming an abortion on a young teenage girl who's a survivor of rape and incest that doctor is going to face criminal charges far worse than the actual perpetrator of that crime, we've gone so far in the wrong direction. And so I'm one of these guys that is just tired. We had a rally in front of the Supreme Court when that Alabama bill moved forward, and I was stunned to see 5-1 or worse women to men out there rallying. This cannot be something that's left to women. And guys I hear say, well, I'm for this because I have a sister or a daughter or a wife. Please, you have a body. You are a person, and you should be in this fight because people deserve to be able to control their own body. That's a freedom and a sanctity that we need. And so, as President of the United States, I'm going to be driving to make Roe v. Wade codified through legislation. I'm going to elevate an office of reproductive freedom in the White House, because we have a lot of work to do, especially for low-income women, to have common sense access to contraceptive care and reproductive care. And as you know, Claire, from rural areas to inner city areas like mine, Planned Parenthood clinics are some of the only access that a lot of women have to cancer screenings, preventative care, contraceptive care. They are essential institutions.
Senator Cory Booker of the great state of New Jersey. Senator, thanks so much as always.
Thanks for that Jersey shout out. Thank you.
Always, always.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.